Recording. Okay. Take it away, Lauren.
Wonderful. All right, so we'll switch it up a little bit this week. I had said that we'll have Jen and Ashling go first, but while we're waiting for Ashling, Diane and John, if you wouldn't mind getting ready to demo first. How is everyone? I am fine. You can see the flames like burning around me, but I'm fine. Let's see, my husband Tony went out grocery shopping this morning, and so he made a mask out of a t-shirt and was
Nice.
Yeah, that was very, he said it was like super stressful to have to do it. You know what I mean? Just like, it just felt so weird, I think.
It's like, I felt like when I'm wearing my self-made scarf mask as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I forget how to like do other human things, like communicate with people, and I'm like, do I give you the money? Do I this blocker between you and like everything you know about the world? We'll get used to it, but for now I'm like,
basically, all right. John and Diane, you had a pretty tricky ticket this week. Are you ready to demo your wonderful work? Cool.
Sorry, I didn't see the password. Apologies.
Oh, there she is. Ashley's here. Sorry.
no worries.
Didn't see it either.
Oh yeah, the password.
Sorry about all the password confusion. I didn't know there was one till the panic.
Yeah, they must be
Exactly.
trying to kind of make it safer and stuff.
Okay, so I guess we will start. I guess I'll just share my screen. This one. Okay, so our task this week was to create a checkbox for all of our shopping list items, and also that item would be shown as checked 24 hours after the purchase is made. So yeah, okay, I'm just gonna pull up our Firebase. Okay, so I'm gonna use this token, the age hetty CCC. And it only has Apple, which is great. I'm going to add an item, apple pie. Okay, and then this one, yeah, so it's working. The last purchase date is null, and just change it up. Oranges. I'm gonna actually add a date.
Okay. Nice.
All right, so the date, we just had formatted in the form, and there's also a new field called is checked. So if we go in the shopping list, the apple was already there. So oranges, if we check it, the field is checked turns to true, and the last purchase date gets updated to the current date. Yeah, 2024 April. And then apple pie, which had a null last purchase date, also gets updated, or goes to false if it gets unchecked. So that was pretty much the demo part. So I don't know if, John, you want to jump in for the code, which we mostly changed in, like, we worked with shopping list.
I guess it would help if I was unmuted. Okay, so yeah, most of our code updates were actually in the shopping list component or page. It was pretty much the same thing as before. We went ahead and retrieved all of the data or items associated with that with the particular token. We made another change though on if user token. I don't know why I didn't think of that before, but that's just so if there isn't a token given, or the token doesn't exist, it'll just take you to home or just leave you right from where you're at, instead of erroring out. We did add the is checked in the data That's where we are pretty much, we have our 24-hour function, which I'll get into in a little bit. But that's going to go ahead and check. It's a ternary thing. I keep forgetting what the name is. But it takes whether or not, if there is a last purchase state, if it's less than 24 hours, it's true, since it was last checked, or it's going to be false, in which case there wouldn't be a check mark in there. So on our less than 24 hours function, we format the date using moment, creates a new date, and it checks on last purchase, or yeah, it takes the last purchase, formats the last purchase into the moment, into the formatted date, and it checks the difference whether or not the hours is less than or equal to 24, which will return either, you know, true or false. And in handle check, yeah.
Yes. Well, so the handle check is just for the checkbox itself. So basically, the handle check, it'll update Firestore depending on the checkbox and the last purchase date, whether it's created or not. Yeah, and then
yeah.
Sorry. And the checkbox gets created directly from depending on the database is checked, because after we handle check, after we update it, we then call shopping list again, well, the get shopping list, so that all the data gets updated and pulled back into our app. Sorry, John, did you have something to add?
No, you got it.
Okay. I guess the other, the last thing we changed was the add item form. It was just to make it easier on our end when we're formatting. Where did we?
I believe was at the.
Is this the old one?
On the check mark. No, it's towards the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just added 2 new fields, where we like modified the last purchase date field, and the is checked, we just automatically put it to false since we assume that they haven't bought it yet. And that is it, I believe. Yeah.
Good. Great work.
This is awesome.
What was tricky? What was tricky about this one?
I think that, well, for me anyway, there was just a lot of moving parts, and then when you started to work on like just the handle check, you realize you have to go like make sure the formatting is right from the get-go, and then there's just a lot of moving parts that was very confusing for me. But you, Lauren, actually helped us with like steps, and John, we communicated every day, I think, this week, just to like be like, okay, where are we at? What's the step we should go through? Did we make it? Do we need help? Like, so it was, yeah.
That's awesome. Yes, as the app gets bigger, it definitely takes more teamwork to figure out where all the moving pieces belong.
Yeah, this one,
Yep,
this one to me, it felt like it had a lot of pieces, and you really had to like, okay, I need to accomplish this piece now. Just this piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. I loved like seeing the progress of like each commit that was happening. Like, yeah, I'd be like, oh my gosh, they're almost there. It was super exciting. So,
Yeah,
that was awesome to see.
We're like, just commenting like what we should do.
exactly.
Like John would have the code, or he would push his commit so that I would have his code. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great teamwork.
Yeah, great job.
Cool. All right. Let's switch teams. Jen and Ashling. Love to see what you guys.
Let me pull it up. I'll share my screen and Ashling can kind of talk through the
Yep.
demo.
So ours was like considerably easier, I think, than the other teams, which I feel a bit bad about now after really seeing how much time and effort they put in. So ours was a little bit simpler, but we actually ran into like kind of different issues with it. So our AC, I can just pull up there for a quick sec. Sorry. Was as a user, I want to see a welcoming prompt to add my first item if my list is empty to help me get orientated to how the app works. So it's basically just like your welcoming section. And then the AC was the list view, when there are no items to display, should show a prompt, example, a button for the user to add their first item. And so, do you want to show the app, Jen, or?
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
So I open the app in an incognito window because I already have a token saved on my computer. But basically, this is your home page, and if we create a new list, I don't want to create too many new lists. So on my home page, I have a list that's empty. So once you actually join with a token, it'll go to shopping list, and when you go there, it'll notice that your list is empty, and it'll ask you, do you need help? And if you click on the button, it'll actually tell you a few different things, like how to add an item by clicking this button down here. And then it also gives you the token of your actual list. So if you want someone to collaborate with you, you can just give them the code that's right here.
That's
I
nice.
love this. That's great.
I think
Awesome.
we kind of got a bit confused. Well, I think it was probably more me. We originally had it on the like homepage section, which Lauren was saying we should move it to the shopping list, which now reading the AC again is correct because it says in the list view. But I think we were kind of a bit confused because we were saying on the homepage it might be good there as well, or some sort of welcoming prompt just to explain what's on the homepage. But now when I see it on the list view, I understand why it's on the list view. So that was one of the major changes we made yesterday. I think Jen made. Yeah.
Lauren's suggestion, which makes a lot more sense.
Mhm.
So always read the AC,
Yeah.
just to triple check. But yeah, so if we look at the code, it's just pretty simple. We dropped it in shopping lists, so that's why we haven't merged into master, because there are a few conflicts with your guys' stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll fix that later. But basically, it's pretty simple. So the welcome instructions, I just kind of threw it in its own like rendering function so that the return statement doesn't get too confusing. Kind of, we had like a bunch of stuff here, and so I just dropped it into just this welcome instructions constant. And then what we did was we just put in a ternary operator. This will probably be the thing that we also add to a shopping list when we merge to master, is that if the list is empty, then if the list is not empty, then return the original, whatever the map that was originally there for the shopping list. Otherwise, we want to return our welcome instructions. And we also changed the CSS a bit so that it also kind of starts off as like, the div is not shown, and then once you click, there's a little
Just train on.
So yeah, are there any questions? Our prompt is pretty simple this week.
I really
No,
like
that's awesome.
how you pulled that out into a separate chunk. Very nice.
Yeah, that's great. Good work.
Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Shout out to Ashli. She carried the team this week because I had like
Woo!
this week. So.
That is not true.
Nice.
Good job, everyone.
Awesome. Great work, everybody. This is really coming together. Oh, one, I had Diane and John add a prettier config to the project. So it looks like everyone uses VS Code. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So you want to add to your VS Code, if you don't have it already, the prettier extension, and then when you save a file, it'll format it all nicely, and it'll be a lot easier going forward for merge conflicts. It's just a simple way to tell your code the way that exactly.
Oh, there should be. Is the pre-commit hook not working?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I didn't know that there was one either.
I'll look into it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Shall we move to retro? Good job, everybody.
Do it.
Yeah, good job.
Really, really awesome work, everyone, this week. Super exciting.
Yeah, cool. Let me share the retro link with y'all. I'll post it in the Zoom chat, and I'll share my screen so we can just have a point of reference too. Yeah, I'm going to post it in Slack. So kind of same thing as before. We have 3 columns today. Appreciations, shout outs and people you want to recognize or things that you recognize throughout the sprint that you want to let people know. What went well? This could be a variety of things, working as a pair. You maybe had some good research. Maybe everything just clicked and everything was awesome. And then what prevented us from making progress, or what could we do better next sprint? Kind of things that going forward would be nice to improve on, and we could get some nice action items from this list that we could be sure to work on for next sprint. So I'm gonna set a timer for 7 minutes maybe. You can go through, hit the little plus button to add a few tickets to each column, and then in 7 minutes we'll sync back up and kind of go over everything.
Cool. Thanks, Daly.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, about 1 more minute. All right, let's finish up our thoughts, and we can go ahead and dive in. We'll go from left to right, and we'll just go down the list and address everyone. So start with Diane's ticket on the appreciations. Jen is great at explaining things in a simple way. I feel I've become a much better coder thanks to her. John is an amazing problem solver. I appreciate that we both work together on this task every day and saw it through step by step. And last,
would you mind if we let the
oh yeah,
just in case they want to elaborate?
Yeah, totally. Sorry. If
no problem at all. I know that's
Diane,
how people usually do it. Like,
yeah. Diane, if you want to elaborate more on these bullet points.
No, just, I mean, yeah, what I wrote. And I think, I mean, just because this week was super tough, and so I really appreciated working with John every day, and then Lauren, just for breaking things down to us in a digestible way, and your optimism, and you always have a smile on your face, so that really helps encourage us. That's all. Do I go through all of the, or just that?
Like all the bullet points that are attached to this one card you posted.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks.
John, you want to go over your card?
Sure. So I worked with Diane again. It was a pleasure working with you again. It was like, oh, we're on the same page here. And so that, and yeah, working like at least once a day. I think that I went through that on two of these other ones, but it really did make a difference, and it made it feel like we were actually just tackling it together without any breaks in between or anything. But also to the team, I mean, Jen was awesome to actually make that possible, or suggest that weekly stand-up that we do, just to get everything together and keep us on track, and just offer up any help if we ever needed it, or if we needed to bring someone else in to help us out. So yeah, that's what I appreciate about this cohort. It's awesome.
Awesome. All the feels. Jen, you want to go over your card?
Yeah. So I really appreciate Ashli, just because like this week I had a lot going on with my family, and like just in general, and so she really kept checking in with us with the pair and everything, and she was like, oh, I've been doing this, like on a daily basis. She was just like check in on the Slack, and I really appreciated that, because with everything going on, it's been a blessing having this group here, so that like at least something normal is going on, and Ashli was really a big part of that this week. So thank you so much for keeping us on task. And then also Stacey, the same thing. Thanks for always checking in, and like just being like, oh yeah, this thing is still going on. Let's talk about this, because sometimes I forget we're doing this. And then Lauren, thank you for your eagle eyes. I don't take any offense at all. And I love that you can spot all those small details, especially the spelling errors that need to be changed, because that means you're really paying attention to the code. And you always need someone who's like that, who's like super on top of the code. So I really appreciate that. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, awesome.
I appreciate every single one of you for being so involved and dedicated during this time of crisis, which is so hard to kind of put out of your mind. So thank you for being there and following through and being amazing teammates. And to Lauren, how do you have so much time and energy? You're there on top of it, and appreciate you. Next.
Will I go next? Yeah, so I just said Jen is very fun to work with. She explains her code very well, and kind of, it's almost like she knows that I don't understand something, so she kind of asks me, which is great. So that was really, really good. And I agree with John, the meeting during the week is really beneficial. It's just good to kind of understand the other person's issue and then just understand how they might both come together at the end of the day. And again, yeah, just to echo, the mentors are just so kind and full of information and helpful tips, almost every second day. So it's really, really encouraging and refreshing. Thank you.
Awesome. Ford?
Oh, yes. So I want to say thanks to Stacey for just like always popping in and being so motivating. And that's like, it's just a huge thing right now for all of us, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. I just couldn't write any, like I have all these appreciations and I couldn't articulate them very well, but I super appreciate everyone's like commitment to keeping things moving and commitment to one another in a time that's very challenging. And I just feel like everyone's doing the best they can and bringing really good energy and understanding to everyone in the process. So I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah, I just really wanted to shout out both the pairs this past sprint. They did a phenomenal job in every part of the steps for getting their issues done. I'll go into it more in the went well, but I feel like every step was executed so well this sprint, and so y'all should be really proud of yourselves because you added some really technically challenging stuff to the app, and you added a lot of good good user experience features as well. So this is definitely something to be proud of. Something else I wanted to add to was I wanted to shout out Lauren too. She's been killing it as a mentor, and like those eagle eyes are something to really be impressed by. So fantastic job. Cool. So going over to the next column, what went well? Diane, do you want to kick us off?
Yes. Yeah, so this week I feel creating PRs and like giving reviews and stuff went really smoothly. Nobody had to ping me on Slack like, hey, you forgot your review this week or whatever. So I think that went really well, and the teamwork between the two teams and between the mentors, like just everything was really smooth.
Great. John?
Yeah, again, echoing what I said in the appreciations, I think the communication between all of the teams was awesome. And again, when we were stuck, we were actually able to go ahead and just use the resources that we had, whether it be the mentors or even just looking at other people's code as well for some guidance and stuff. So I think that went well.
Awesome. Jen?
Yeah, same thing. We communicated really well this week. Really liked that midweek meeting. It's nice to just kind of like have another meeting to just like air everything out. And then yeah, just having the draft pull requests up early because it means everyone's on top of it, has actually like read everything and is like thinking about the next steps. So I think that went really well.
Absolutely.
So good. Okay, what went well? So much pairing. It's amazing. And like solid teamwork and communication in this cohort. The best so far. Don't tell anybody I said that. Although this will be recorded and put on YouTube. But you guys are doing amazing. And like every time I see in Slack that there's like a group huddle or like endless pairing going on, I'm like, this is what it's all about. And I love it. And so that's going really well. Keep it up.
Okay, what did I say? Yeah, the draft pull requests have been so beneficial for me. It's really nice to like lay out what you're actually doing early in the week. So I think that was an excellent thing that was added last week or the week before. Thank you for telling us about that. I didn't know that existed. Yeah, just communication again. Just really good communication from everybody has just made the week go a little bit easier.
Nice. What?
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, that meeting midweek, super great idea. Jen, I don't know if that was your idea, but that was really, really super smart. And then I thought there was a lot of contribution from everyone this week. Like all of the people, everyone in the pair really contributed equally. I thought that was fantastic. Do I have anything else? Oh, and great work on the draft PRs, getting things in early. And again, nice work doing this work during a challenging time when you're thinking about other, maybe more important things.
Yeah, so kind of echoing kind of what everybody said about the draft PRs. That's probably my highlight of this week. Seeing all like the work getting done within the first few days of the sprint really set everybody up for success. And so that was really great to see. And I really hope, I know everybody will continue doing that. So yeah, just good job on that. Okay, so let's go into the what can we do better next sprint, and maybe we can pull out some action items from this. Diane, do you want to go ahead and start?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think I just wrote asking more questions at the beginning of the task. Our first strategy wasn't actually complete just because it didn't take into account the scope, or we had to change strategy at some point because we hadn't maybe thought about it at the beginning. So just asking more questions to everyone, and also not overthinking things. I think I spent hours on one thing, and then like John came up and it was like one line of code, and I was like, this could have been so much simpler. So don't overthink things. It's probably much simpler than you think.
Yeah, totally. I feel like too, it's also important to always remember like the MVP mindset that we have right now is to remember the AC, and if the AC is met solidly, then we don't need to go any deeper than that. And just reaching for the MVP, I think, is a good way that could help you not overthink things. John?
Yeah, like I wrote, nothing really prevented us from making any progress. We had like just some roadblocks, but we were able to work through everything, and that was really satisfying, to be honest with you. And I think, just like Diane said, I just need to keep things simple, not overthink things, and be okay with just the MVP, and not have to go any further.
Yeah, MVPs are great in this environment, so just something to keep working towards, and we'll polish along the way, so don't have to worry about that. Okay, so for me, my capacity this week was really full with everything, within the fear of getting laid off and everything, and trying to figure out how am I gonna like live and everything. Yeah, my capacity was I was at the limit, so I didn't get to contribute this much this week, so I apologize for that. But everything seems to be a bit more stable now, so yeah, I'll be a lot more active this coming week.
Okay, mine, like Joey's, personally stifled by this fucking pandemic. Come on.
Yeah.
And like having kids home now full time and working full time and doing all the things, like panicking, being grief stricken. So I want to call it out too, because like I feel like we're all dealing with things in our own way, and it's totally fine to feel, and it's totally fine to be open about how you're feeling, and to lean on your team and to let people know when you're having a hard time or you have extra responsibilities, etc. So it's a hard time. We all know it, and I think I'll be here for each other.
Yeah, we got this. Ashli?
Yeah, I think I echo a lot of what people are saying. Keep it simple, definitely. Yeah, reread the AC. I think we kind of got a bit excited this week, and we probably should have reread it and moved things around. Maybe seek support a bit earlier, like maybe in the week, just ask a random question in Slack. We're not really doing that, so yeah, that would be kind of my goal for this week.
Yeah, totally. Jen?
Yeah, I just like when people talk on Slack. So if you even have non-coding related stuff to post, I would like to hear about it. But yeah, no, same thing. I have a lot of things going on with my family. My cousin I'm living with, a couple of his friends passed away and things like that. So it's just, it's been pretty nutso. So I really I feel like next week, I think trying to balance when everything is happening at the same time will be something that I could try to do better.
Yeah, totally.
It's hard.
For sure.
Okay.
Lauren?
Yeah, I want to, what Jen said, I think being noisier on Slack, I love, I mean, basically anytime anyone posts something on Slack during the workday, I'll pop on over there and check it out, to be perfectly honest. So it's nice when people post on Slack, and it honestly does not have to be related to what you're doing. Just kind of keeps us connected. And let's see, don't be afraid to ask clarifying questions. Really think about what's the task breakdown for the issue that you're working on for the week. I think as we move forward, the tasks are going to become a little more complex, a little bit more challenging, is my suspicion. So I think the more time that you spend asking questions and kind of listing out those steps that you need to accomplish to meet the AC will be beneficial before you start coding.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, for sure.
So I added a few action items to the right, just so we could kind of, have some things you can take away from this. One is to remember the MVP. Try not to overthink things, and don't be afraid to ask questions. I feel like those kind of go hand in hand. Each one of those prevents you from, overthinking things, and just keeping the MVP in mind. The next one I added was more noise in Slack. It doesn't have to be coding related, but these are strange times, and so having some form of normalcy in Slack would definitely be nice. So I think that's something we can all work on. Yeah, so I think that's it for this retro, unless anybody else has anything they want to add to anything.
No, I love that.
Nope.
That's beautiful retro. Amazing work the last 2 weeks, everyone.
Yeah, great job, everybody.
Good. Okay. So before we get into the issues for next week, we have 10 minutes for that kind of stuff. Next Sunday is a holiday for some people, and we wanted to see if this is something that would make you all want to maybe reschedule the meeting, or if you're not celebrating or celebrations have been canceled because of the virus or something. We just wanted to gauge your thoughts. Does anybody have thoughts? Is anybody doesn't want to do it because it's a holiday and wants to reschedule? Everybody's good? All right. Well then
I wouldn't mind rescheduling.
Okay, that's
sure.
fine. Okay, then what I'll do is I'll send out a doodle. Is anybody not available on Saturday? I know, John, you have kind of a schedule that can be
as of right now, I'm available. I should be good.
I'll send out a doodle for options on Saturday then. And if we can't come up with something on that day, we can try something else, but that'll kind of narrow it down to just expect it to be Saturday. And we'll come up with a time that works. And if you can't make it at the time that everybody else can, it'll be recorded. We'll coordinate in advance to make sure everything you want to say is covered and you are heard.
Yep.
Okay. On that note, let me share my screen with you and we'll go over next week's issues. If you saw in Slack, I posted that the pairs are going to be Diane and Ashli, and then the second pair is Jennifer and John. And the two issues we have, issue number 9, as a user, I want to filter my shopping list to make it easier to locate an item. So filtering logic. And then number 10, as an item, I want my estimated next purchase date to be computed at the time of my purchase when it's recorded in the database. So some data storage and maybe a little math in that one. Anybody want to take any of these? Anything jump out? If not, I'll just assign at random. And by at random, I mean in order.
I wouldn't mind the database one.
Okay. Diane said that, right? Sorry, my thing's all shrunk. Okay, so let's see. Diane's group wants to do the computing. Okay, so number 10 is going to be Diane and Ashli. Number 9 is going to be Jennifer and John. I'll drop those in the threads in Slack, but if you want to pop in here and assign them. I'll stop my sharing. And let's see. Okay, we'll do breakout rooms. Joey, Lauren, anybody have any particular one you want to look at? Okay.
You're either.
I'll just go in order. Let's see. I'm never going to be good at this part. Do it manually, create them. Number 1 is going to be Diane and Ashli, and we'll just put Lauren in there. Y'all are working on issue 10.
Gotcha.
And room number 2 is going to be the rest of everybody else working on issue number 9. All right, I'm going to open these rooms. Have an amazing week. I'll see you all in Slack. Lean on your team. These are hard times, and we love you all. Thank you for your dedication and participation. You're amazing. Okay, opening the rooms.
Bye.
See ya. And stopping recording.